This episode of Divine Providence, the podcast, is brought to you by Cactus AI, the best essay helper for students.
This is your boy Dangly Sack, and you're listening to Tyler Kolick's favorite college basketball podcast, Divine Providence.
A frenzy in Friartown! Nice crossover, quick release. Oh, baby, and the foul! Woo! Offensive rebound for Watson!
32 seconds, shot clock differential about 14 seconds. 3-point lead.
Who run shit like me? Top 5 basically. I still play for keeps, ain't no fantasy, hey.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 14 of Divine Providence. I'm your host, Matthew Leb. Alongside me is Dr. Eduardo, as well as Mac, as always. Well, gentlemen, the week is finally here in a season of so much uncertainty and not a lot to cheer about. One thing is for certain, and that is Ed Cooley is coming back to Providence almost a year to the day after he made his first return. So we got a lot in store for you today. Mac, first, let me kick it over to you. How are we feeling going into this game on Saturday?
Hungry. I'm feeling hungry. This is, I think this is becoming Providence, Rhode Island's Festivus. It was the airing of grievances. I think this this Saturday in late January is becoming a yearly thing, and I love it. I'm hungry.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a tradition. Eduardo, how about you? How you feeling coming in?
First off, Mac, love the shirt.
Thank you.
But I'm glad Georgetown won last game, coming in high hopes just to crush their little souls. So very excited.
Yeah, I think we're all excited. I think you said it well, Mac, right? It's kind of becoming a little bit of a tradition. Late January game, it was 12 o'clock last year, right?
Yep.
Yeah. 12 o'clock game. I wasn't sure if it was 12 or 2. I know sometimes do the 2 o'clock, but so, it's definitely going to be a lot of fun. We have a lot to talk about. Obviously, there's a lot of on-court implications here. Georgetown coming off a nice win against Villanova at Villanova, which something that we couldn't do in our most recent game, although came very close. But again, Friars missing probably realistically, they're three most important players on offense besides maybe Jaden Pierre and Mila, Hopkins, and Cardette. So, we all know what happened in the Villanova game. We're not going to spend too much time talking about that. But the game coming up, Georgetown, you got Sorber, you got Epps back in the fold for Georgetown. Do you think Georgetown can pull off the win in Providence?
Unfortunately, just because of my history, I'm going to not comment on any sort of outcomes related to the game. So what I will say is Georgetown's young, but they're doing pretty well so far in the Big East. They're holding their own. Not up there with the big dogs like UConn, Marquette, St. John's. But, a lot of transfers that have come in have adapted pretty well to the Big East. Malik Mack, Micah Peavy. You got Thomas Sorber, who people are talking about as a first-round pick, like you mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a team with a lot of pieces. So it's going to be tough on Saturday.
Yeah, and you do have to give Georgetown credit. They're definitely on the right trajectory. You see a lot of Georgetown fans obviously making victory laps about how all PC fans were wrong. They were all right. Again, I think that's totally premature. Sorber's a great player, right? I think they have a lot of good young talent, and he could be a first-round pick. But that's really pretty much the whole basis of the season. These two teams could easily be flipped. If Georgetown didn't get incredibly lucky with Sorber and, Providence get incredibly unlucky with the Hopkins situation, we could easily be, flipped with where Georgetown is or better, So it should be an exciting game, and I think that's good for the rivalry because, this is kind of a rivalry now that came out of nowhere all because of one guy, decided he wanted to change his colors. And last year, it was anything but a rivalry, right? PC went 3-0 versus Georgetown last year. Home and home, swept them, and then in the Big East tournament. So if Georgetown can steal one, I mean, Ed Cooley is 0-3 against Kim English. You hear all this stuff from Georgetown fans about how Kim English isn't a good coach. Well, Ed Cooley is yet to beat him. So definitely should be a fun game.
Yeah, well said. We've been hearing all from Georgetown fans that Kim English is not the guy. Ed Cooley is the guy. But, the record hasn't lied so far. So,
yeah, I mean, if Ed Cooley is 0-4 against Kim, just hypothetically, how can any Georgetown fan say that? Like, I'm not saying it's necessarily incorrect, but how can you put that on the internet if Ed Cooley is 0-4 versus Kim English after Saturday?
I agree, 100%.
I'm curious to see how well the crowd's going to be Saturday compared to last year.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, like, I don't think you're ever going to get what you got last year. So much hate, just so much angst towards Ed Cooley. You're never going to feel that again, but it's going to be the best crowd of the year for sure.
And like we talked about a few minutes ago, like tradition, this is going to be the game where you get the energy ever. You might not get the same energy we got last year. When the wound was still relatively new. But this is, I mean, Ed Cooley's going to get booed out of the building every time he steps foot in this building for the rest of his career. As long as he wants to coach, it doesn't matter what team. He could leave for a job in Wisconsin, and if they come to the amp, he's going to get booed out of the building. So I think you're going to get energy regardless, but maybe not replicate last year. But I don't think energy will be a concern at all on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that is the case. Genuinely, from my soul, I hope that there's never a moment where, we're like, all right, let's, forgive this guy. I mean, if Ed won a national championship here, I think there'd be a little bit of a different story. But he brought us to a Sweet 16. So, like, we appreciate everything that Ed Cooley did for the program, but let's not pretend that he was, in the likes of Gavitt or, I mean, Pitino only spent 2 years here, so you can't really compare the two careers. But Mulaney, Gavitt, I mean, he Sweet 16. I mean, you got to make a Final Four. If he made a Final Four, I would say, all right, let's maybe forgive him at some point. But there's just no way. There's just no way I'll ever forgive him, and I don't think PC fans should either.
And I think, I mean, it kind of goes without saying, but it is the way he left that left a stain. If it was, late March, April rolls around, season's over, and then people start speculating about how or why or where he's leaving, it's a completely different story. But, had he left and it was a clean exchange, who's to say there wouldn't be a Ed Cooley statue on Providence College's campus one day? But now I don't think that'll ever be an option, ever be on the table. Like you said, he didn't accomplish nearly enough to even be in that regard here. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. So let's talk about that. So for everyone that is living under a rock, or maybe you're just new here, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, or maybe you're a fan of another team and you don't really know the whole lore. So Ed Cooley, the coach of Georgetown, was the coach at Providence College for 11 years. He grew up in Providence. It was always said to be his dream job to coach the Providence College Friars. In fact, he's quoted at a donor benefit, saying that he, when he snuck into the dunk, that he said to himself that he was going to be the head coach of the Providence College Friars, and now he is. So he said that it was his dream job. He always said that he was going to be a Friar for life. He said that he never, wanted to coach anywhere else. And the Friars had a mutual agreement with him. It was always, he's going to be a Friar for life. We'll give him whatever he wants within reason. If a team offered him a, competitive contract, it was always, we'll match it. We'll do whatever we can to make him, comfortable and want to be in Providence for life. He also earned that. He had a lot of success here. They made how many NCAA tournaments? 6.
I believe it was 7. I'm not sure if they were consecutive, but
No, yeah, well, yeah, because they missed. Technically, obviously, they missed 1920 because of COVID, but they would have made it that year. But can't count that year. They missed David Duke's year. That's 2.
18, 19, I believe.
Yeah, I think that was 18, 19, and then they missed. They missed his first 2 years. Yeah, his first year they were terrible. Second year they lost in the NIT to, I want to say, Baylor, and then his third year they won the Big East tournament, and then they kind of went on a run from that point, and we're making it pretty much every year for a little while. So he brought what we wanted, which was sustained and consistent tournament appearances, right? No one ever really thought we were going to compete for a national championship, at least not for a while, until really, 2022. They had a team that could have won a national championship, and they got to the Sweet 16. Lost to Kansas, heartbreaking game. Al Durham offensive foul. Things could have been different, and you might have been in the Final Four. You might have been in the national championship game. You might have won the national championship. They had the pieces to do it, and it just obviously just couldn't put it all together. You fast forward to the following year, and that was the Bryce Hopkins year, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was Bryce's first year, and they lose to Kentucky in the NCAA tournament. But before that, there were rumors. So do you guys remember what we started to kind of hear in like February and March about Georgetown's job search?
What are the rumors?
You beat me to that.
Yeah, no, but it's no secret Georgetown is and was a dying brand. Very successful in the early 2000s, 80s, 90s. Sporadic success in the late 2000s and 2010s, but Patrick Ewing took the reins, and Georgetown for a few years were the bottom feeders in the Big East. They snuck in a Big East tournament title, I believe 2021, but other than that, just no success whatsoever. So obviously Patrick Ewing on the hot seat. And then those rumors started to circulate that there would be a vacancy at Georgetown. And, there were rumors pretty frequently around the Friars that like Ed Cooley would be taking a job here, Ed Cooley would be taking a job there. I know a school like Michigan had come up in the past, and people had kind of just brushed it off. So, as the season's going on, the Friars are rolling. I think they started Big East play 9-2 in 2023. So even the idea of Ed Cooley leaving for whatever it was 0-20 Georgetown the year before was like so preposterous that I feel like no one really believed it until the season was over and it actually kind of started to set in.
Yeah, it was laughed off. I mean, we all laughed it off. And we always felt that it wasn't going to be Georgetown. Like it easily could have been, Michigan, the NBA, whatever, Nets, Knicks, whatever. But Georgetown seemed like so far-fetched. And we all know, obviously, the quote-unquote brand, right, that Georgetown had. But it doesn't equate to a head coach who grew up in Providence, coached the Providence Friars for the last 11 years, wanting to leave Providence for Georgetown just because of, like, John Thompson. Like, that's the connect there. Didn't really seem like enough. But then why don't you talk about the Seton Hall game? That's when the wheels kind of started to fall off.
Yeah, well, that's I think when people started to realize, like, or at least some eyebrows were raised of what the hell's going on with this team? How does this happen? It's no secret, and obviously we're biased, but the AMP is one of the hardest places to play in the country. If you make a list of the top 10, you'd be crazy not to consider the AMP as one of the hardest places to play in the country. I think the Friars were something like whatever it was, 16-2 at home that season, and then a middle of the pack, and that's I think generous to say, a middle of the pack Seton Hall team comes to the AMP on senior day, with Big East tournament implications on the line. I believe they were fighting for the 3 seed at that point, and Seton Hall just breaks the wheels off of them. I'm looking at it right now. 82-58. They beat them on senior day in Providence's building. And your first thought is, what the hell happened? That was such an anomaly of a game, not a representation of the team I've been watching for the last 4 or 5 months. And that, I think, is what a lot of people can point to as the beginning of the end. I also think it's worth noting, and this was kind of my conspiracy theorist mind at work at the time, that Seton Hall game was March 4th. The Friars played at Georgetown February 26th, and that was the last game Ed Cooley had ever won at Providence College. They followed it up with a loss at home against Xavier, a loss at home against Seton Hall, and then a loss to UConn in the Big East tournament, and a loss to Kentucky in the NCAA tournament. Whatever was going on while the Friars team was at Georgetown in the DC area is all speculation, but that I think February 26th you can point to as the beginning of the end as far as the Cooley era is concerned.
Definitely. Well, he listed his house March 3rd. And I remember watching the Seton Hall game and thinking, like, wow, this reminds me of the old Friar era, like Keno Davis, even before, where something goes wrong and people are pointing fingers and saying, like, oh, it's a locker room issue, and fingers being pointed at players. And Ed Cooley was, silent on the whole thing. Obviously, naturally, he's not gonna say too much or point fingers. But the house was listed for sale March 3rd, right? Game was Seton Hall was March 4th. Obviously, we know he went to Georgetown in late February. So yeah, I mean those are all obviously speculatory, but it is very reasonable to think that there was at least a handshake agreement when he went to DC. I don't doubt that. And it's hard. I mean, it's hard if you're a player playing for a coach and that coach isn't 100% committed, and you're in the dog days, right, where it gets down to end of February, early March, and you've been playing basketball since, first week in November, right? Regular season basketball since first week in November, plus you have, summer workouts, all that stuff. I mean, you're grinding, right? You're exhausted mentally, emotionally, and physically, and your coach is showing signs of quitting. It's obviously going to have an on-court impact, and that's clearly what happened. The UConn game in the Big East tournament, they did make a comeback, and the NCAA tournament game against Kentucky, I didn't think they played all that terrible in that game. I think the game was honestly closer, in my opinion, than what the score showed. But I mean, we all know what was going on behind the scenes. And obviously then, you start to hear other rumors, like all the things that have been talked about in the past 2 years since this whole thing has happened. And you start to kind of put the pieces together. Obviously, it seems like it's, it is what we thought.
So, you had mentioned, obviously, the house in East Greenwich was listed on March 3rd. Everyone's seen the documents, and it's got the signature. You saw the Zillow listing. Chris Dunn jerseys hanging up in the living room. You get the pool that he used to dive into when he land recruits. It was obviously Ed Cooley's house. I think and this just goes back to the sneaky aspect of this whole thing, was apparently they were downsizing. That was the plan, for them to downsize. They didn't need the big home. They had an empty nest, kids away at school. So they were downsizing. So I just feel there were a lot of, I think, cover-ups throughout this process from, late February, early March until, what was it, late March, when he ultimately took the job at Georgetown.
Definitely. And I mean, listen, we all know the rumors and everything, right? And obviously, I'm trying to be careful with what I say, but at the end of the day, we all know that there was some funny business going on here with Ed. That's no, like there's not a soul, even like the people that like I never thought would believe something like that. Like I'll talk to them and I'll be like, oh, that guy like even believes that Ed was maybe messing around. Like it's just obvious. Like everyone knows that, and I think that when you're negotiating with another team in conference in the middle of the year, when you're trying to make an NCAA tournament, get to the Sweet 16 again, maybe get past the Sweet 16, like there must have been such desperation to get out of Providence if like that is truly the case. If there's maybe just, hey, you just want to change the pace, right? You wait until after the season. Like do it after the end of the year in April, right? When everyone else is kind of the coach carousel is moving, right? I mean, PC, the body wasn't even cold on the team, and it was announced that he was going to Georgetown. So there was some urgency for Cooley there. And that's not rumors, that's not, just misinformation. That's obviously just a fact when you put the pieces together. And based on the timeline, right, which like I honestly didn't even realize that the Georgetown road game was his last win at PC until you like I actually didn't even realize that. So that's pretty wild, honestly. Really is.
Yeah, I mean, you had mentioned the urgency, like this is something that had to have been going on, who had at least been an option for weeks, if not months beforehand. Because this team was rolling. This was a team that I think got as high as 15th, if I'm not mistaken, in the AP poll. So this was a team that was going to contend. You're not just jumping ship on a team when you have a chance to do something as a head coach that you've never done before for your home state, for your home city. You don't just jump ship out of nowhere. Obviously, speculations. To anyone listening, you may have thought you're tuning into a college basketball podcast. We're actually a podcast where we'll be talking about morals. No, I'm not going to get into any of the speculation. But, this is like, why would you jump ship in the middle of the season? And just the deceit, the lying. Even Ed Cooley's last win being against Georgetown, like, hey, maybe he's just trying to get Patrick Ewing out of there. Let me just coach my ass off one more game. And then February 27th, I wake up and I'm just checked out. I don't know. There was just a lot of speculation, and I was editing the video, a little hype video before this weekend's game. And I found a clip of Matt Norlander, who's a CBS writer. And he was talking about, this was when the news broke about Cooley taking the job at Georgetown. There's a clip of him saying, I talked to Ed Cooley back in January and asked him about the potential of the opening of the Georgetown job. And Ed Cooley, he left the door wide open. He's like, I love this place, but I never say never. So I think this was at the top of his mind as early as January of 2023, like 2 months before any of this speculation or any of these happenings occurred. So this is months in the making, and we can only really speculate. And obviously, the farther we get out, the less we can recall, I guess, and pinpoint certain points in time. But I don't know. This is something that was in the making for months, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree at all. And as the time moves forward, right, it is harder to recollect everything. But that's why this is important. Like talking about it and bringing light to it, and letting people know and carrying on, the tainted legacy that is Ed Cooley. That it's a tainted, nasty legacy that he ruined. I mean, he ruined his legacy because he was a very likable guy, image wise, and he was always smiling. He was in his hometown. He grew up not, well off at all with sea rights. They took care of him, helped him, and he he had a very humble beginning in Providence, and it was very relatable for a lot of people here. And he brought a lot of people to the dunk, and it was just the way he left to leave your hometown team, right? That you said was your dream job. You said you were never leaving. I could understand if that wasn't the case. I could also understand if maybe Georgetown was a better job. I think that's honestly that's the most frustrating thing about it for me is you built something in Providence and you resurrected a program that, in my opinion, has always been a sleeping giant. Right? We have a great arena, we have great facilities, we have a really really engaged fan base. The alumni are very very into the basketball program and donate a lot of money to the basketball program. This is, in my opinion, a sleeping giant in the Big East. And Georgetown was dead. I mean, they were absolutely dead in the water. And they still are, in my opinion. I mean, they drew 5,000 on a Friday night. 5 nights ago against DePaul.
Yep.
So, you go to Georgetown, right? In the same conference, who's dead for this project job. And I'm sorry, there's just more at play. It's just impossible no one will ever change my mind about that.
Mm-hmm. And I know anyone from the outside could easily just be like, oh, these guys with the tinfoil hats, they're conspiracy theorists, they're just coping, they're just mad their coach left. I don't think this is a normal instance where a coach leaves a team, whether he grew up in the area or not. He was the hometown kid, loved by everyone. This is not copy paste coach leave team to another team. There's legitimate evidence backing that he was checked out beforehand. Maybe a bit of a moral history, some are saying. But there's legitimate reasonings to believe this. This isn't some conspiracy theory where, some fans from some team in mid-America might be like, oh no, you're just coping. Because that's not the case. This is an anomaly of a situation that we rarely see in sports. Jumping ship to a team that's just dead in the water, leaving a team on the rise that you built from the ground up. You have the potential to have a freaking statue built of you, keys to the city. He could have ran for governor, genuinely, and had a case. It is so polar opposites, and it's a very, it's just an anomaly of an event in sports. And I don't know if anyone outside of the Providence fan base that's lived it could really do it justice.
No, I mean, I liked Rick Pitino's quote with Kadari Richmond, right, where he was like, if the money was equal, he would be playing for Shaheen, talking about Shaheen Holloway and Seton Hall, and it's obviously their money is a factor, right? And I could totally understand if Georgetown was even paying Ed Cooley a cent more, but we literally were willing to match Georgetown's offer to Ed Cooley. And he took the same exact amount of money in Georgetown that he would have got at Providence. And like that Patino quote to me was like, okay, I can relate to this because like, hey, if someone leaves you because they're offering you double or 50% more, I get it. Like, hey, you just can't compete with that. These guys are trying to make money for their families, their bloodlines, like whatever. Do your thing, but the money's equal, and you stab your hometown in the back because why, right? Because why?
Mhm.
Because like there has to be a reason. So so for everyone like you said that calls people like tinfoil hat or calls PC fans tinfoil hat, whatever conspiracy theorists. I mean, there has to be a reason, right? Other than just Georgetown has a better brand. That means nothing. That means literally nothing. Like you can't say that's the reason and like abandon your hometown, team. It's so stupid.
And I may be completely off point with this one. I think the allure around John Thompson's legacy was that, and the Georgetown brand really as a whole, is that team was ran by the John Thompson coaching tree, for lack of a better phrase, for decades. Like you had John Thompson, then you had John Thompson III, Patrick Ewing. These all spurred from this one generation of Georgetown basketball, which is why there was such a deep and rich history. Ed Cooley coming in out of nowhere because I had to stop myself because this is not a podcast about morals, but because Ed Cooley needed a way out, that's not the same Georgetown. It's not the John Thompson heritage, I guess.
Yeah. No, and yeah, you're right. It's contradictory. The whole thing is unfortunate and contradictory. So that leads into the documentary, right? The name of the show is Divine Providence, named after the documentary about Ed Cooley. So that came out about a year ago, right before the Georgetown game. So were you guys able to watch that pretty recently? I know we've been sharing the link around.
Yeah. First off, shout out to everyone like requesting the link. That was pretty cool to see. Like obviously there's still some buzz around it. People from different fan bases reaching out, asking for the link. I almost have chills thinking about it. Like people from outside our little bubble in Rhode Island, the smallest freaking state in the union, that people give a shit about something that basically uprooted our lives as fans for a while. So that was cool to see. I'm sure same goes for you. I mean, you were a part of the whole thing. This is like, you're the reason this podcast is named what it is.
Yeah.
What was that like, seeing everyone reach out for the link?
No, it was cool. I kind of knew, that would happen. People still really care about it. And it was a great documentary, obviously very well made. Shout out to, Blue Demon Degenerate, did a fantastic job. So I had a feeling that people would want to definitely reach out and watch it. I want as many people to watch it between now and the game. I think it's a great way to get hyped for the game and the rivalry that we do have. Yeah, and I mean, I was very lucky to be a part of it. I really did nothing to be a part of it other than just be like very outspoken and myself on Twitter when the whole thing happened. And, I obviously called him Hitler a bunch of times because I felt that was the like worst thing you could say about a person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like just the worst possible thing you could say is just call someone Hitler. So that's what I did, and I rolled with it. And Blue Demon reached out, wanted to interview me because he knew I would probably call him Hitler in the documentary, and I knew that's what he wanted, and that was pretty much it. So it was a lot of fun to be a part of. The interview was really fun, and I did the interview that was like in December, and I totally forgot about it, like totally forgot about it. And then I was literally on my way home from work, and I was like super busy at work, so I had no like idea it was even dropping. Like he maybe had tweeted it out, but I totally forgot about it. And then I get like a bunch of messages on the way home, like being like, dude, this was unbelievable. You know, like I can't believe you said this, that. And I'm like, oh shit, like wow, a couple of people saw it, cool. And then like I was like, holy shit, like just my phone blowing up constantly for like 3 days straight, just nonstop. Gained a ton of followers, but more importantly, like I met so many cool people because of this whole thing. Like it changed the trajectory of how I interact with people on social media. You know, I remember the day the documentary dropped, I had 700 something Twitter followers. I got 3,600 now. You know, so it's nothing. It's nothing. Literally nothing. I just do it for fun. I like it. It's a great way to, you know, be a dick and have fun and make some jokes. But like, it just changed everything for me with that. And yeah, I'm very grateful to have been a part of it and to hopefully speak for some people. You know, I'm not saying I spoke for everyone, but it felt good to speak for some people that maybe didn't have a voice before, and be honest and maybe say the quiet part out loud, which I've always been good at, you know, doing. So yeah, that was it.
All for calling a dude Hitler.
Pretty much it.
What was the what was that reaction like? Like I'm sure you got like a lot of people being like, "Hey man, like, hey, thanks for saying the things that I was thinking, but was probably too scared to put online." But like there was obviously some negative backlash for that. What was that like?
There was some negative backlash. I had a lot of people that, you know, like wanted to buy me drinks, that were like really just that loved it. And then the game day, like there were so many people that want to like take pictures and just like say what up to me, and that was really cool. But the negative backlash, I got a little bit, most of it from Georgetown fans, you know, really none from PC fans, you know, very, very little. So the Georgetown fans were a little upset. There were a couple people that looked up like where I worked, so I like deleted my LinkedIn. You know, I mean, just normal stuff. Like if you were to tweet something really bad, you know, same kind of thing that it's going to happen. So, I mean, I remember I changed my Twitter handle like a few weeks before the documentary came out, because I was like, you know, I probably should, just in case people see that, like not knowing it would blow up at all. But I had my full name in it. Like, and then he ended up putting my name in the documentary. Like, it, you know, it says like Matthew LeBeau. So I was like, all right, whatever. So people can easily find me. And yeah, I mean, like, so there was definitely some negative backlash, like from Georgetown fans. But other than that, it was mostly overwhelmingly positive, and I got a lot of, you know, pats on the back and a lot of thank yous. You know, a couple beers bought for me, and but also, like, I really mean this when I say this, I made a ton of friends from that. Like growing up, I always had a large group of friends, right? So like small family, ton of friends, and you know, I'm a pretty good judge of character. And man, like when I say like I probably met more PC fans now than like anyone, honestly. That's not being cocky. That's just like a fact. Like people come up to me and they introduce themselves and I talk to them, and I love talking to people, and they like PC fans are the best fans. We have the best group of people. I've met so many cool people, awesome, nice, genuine people. And whether it be, you know, at a road game, Big East tournament, at the dunk, like I've met thousands of just unbelievable people because of that. And I'm really just very grateful for that.
I think, and honestly, you deserve it, dude. Like, not the glaze, but like it's giving the fan base a voice. And when you say what the fan base is thinking, like it makes everyone else feel like they have a voice. And I'd like to imagine this podcast is almost an extension of that, and almost kind of carrying out the Divine Providence name that was abruptly ended because of some issues, I guess. Some feathers were ruffled. Um, did you have any part, I guess, in when the whole Goodman thing came about, and people were talking about just all the issues with the documentary that all of us seem to enjoy.
So yeah, so when the documentary came out and Goodman was threatening Blue Demon Degenerate, like I was communicating with him constantly. Like it was
Mm.
I was always like, "Hey man, like what's he saying?" And then he would send me screenshots, and we were talking about it, and I was just so amazed at what he was saying. And I was like, "Dude, you gotta, you gotta like post that." And I don't remember if he was like, I don't know, or like, yeah, 100%. To be honest, I really don't remember. But I was like, dude, you have to post that. Like that's incredible content. And like I was kind of worried at that point because like everyone was so mad at him, but no one knew who he was. But everyone knew who I was. Like my name was in it. And part of the reason why people were so mad at him was because of the Hitler reference being in the documentary. And it was just like the whole like rumor mill thing with Ed Cooley. So like I was like, oh, people might come after me, but I don't really care. Like this is when you see like an opportunity to like to make that have that much motion, like you just gotta just go for it, like and not worry about the repercussions. And he posted, he went for it. And Goodman like sending him threatening messages was one of the reasons why it blew up. Like he he really made it worse for Cooley, for himself, for unfortunately for Fanta, who we all love Fanta. So
Of course.
he made it a lot worse for everyone because then it drew attention from Barstool. Because then once Dave got involved, like he hates Goodman. So it was El Prez. Now he has a reason to get involved in this because he hates Jeff Goodman. So he did. And he had some tweets about it. So that was really exciting. Like that was when I didn't think it'd get any more exciting than like the game, but that like whole fallout from it was even more exciting.
I think with the whole Goodman fallout, like you saw, it was kind of cool to see the like a majority of the Big East fan base as a whole kind of like band together almost. I remember it wasn't long after, I forget exactly which game it was, but College Game Day went to UConn, and I just remember like waking up just hungover as shit. I'm throwing on College Game Day, like whatever. We're gonna watch the slate of games, and you see the big sign in the background that says "Free Blue Demon Degen," and I'm like, that's insane. That like this has just like made its way to ESPN basically. Obviously, like Barstool's covering it. It just this whole thing, and like at that point, I was like, if you thought Cooley leaving and backstabbing his hometown was going to draw enough national attention, now you bring in this documentary that talks about everything that happened 10 months before, and now all these big time writers are talking about it, and it's all centered around Providence, and the whole story tells Ed Cooley leaving Providence. Just we've talked about it before on the show. Like any national attention that PC gets is a good thing, I think. But like that blew up. That just poured salt on the wound of the whole Cooley leaving thing. But it just spread like a wildfire.
Yeah, and honestly, good because like he doesn't deserve to have his reputation salvaged after what he did. And there is like a shocking number of people that I think really still respect him. Like it's so low. And one of my favorite moments from after the documentary actually happened in the summertime at the PC golf outing. And I was talking to it was two players. I won't name them who they are, but they were telling me how they were like in the hotel in New Jersey because they were playing Seton Hall when the documentary came out. and they were all watching it, and they were all like cracking up, and they were all saying like how they loved it, and they were like, half the team at that point was Ed Cooley recruits.
Mhm.
So like I knew the players had known about it, and I know like a lot of the players, know like who I am and whatnot, but I was always kind of afraid. Like I like these guys, like I don't want them to think like I'm an asshole or like I'm slandering someone they respect. And like when I heard they all thought it was hilarious and they loved it, like that made me like think like, wow, these guys who played for Ed Cooley and were recruited by Ed Cooley and like probably, Ed Cooley sat in their house, like liked the documentary. Just goes to show that he really fucked over a lot of people, a lot more people than you realize. So that was probably my favorite moment because always like I wasn't sure how the players felt about it.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was that was really cool. Again, I won't say
That's
who it was. But I'll tell you after.
cool. Yeah, I didn't even factor that in, like even think about that. Like obviously, like the players don't live in a bubble. Like I've gone out in
Right.
Providence and like ran into Rafael Castro. Like they're not like, you know what I mean? They live the same lives as us basically.
Of course,
Um,
yeah, absolutely.
so to understand that, like obviously they're aware, like no shit, they're aware of the documentary, but that's cool. That must have been awesome.
Yeah, that was funny. I was like shocked. I was like, damn, that's wild. Um,
Mhm.
and then yeah, like I said, like just meeting so many people, like just on the streets of New York City, like for the Big East tournament,
Mhm.
and just like other fans of other teams just coming up to me, being like, "Hey man, that was funny," like just awesome shit. I'm like like I just love talking to people, and I love like meeting people, and I always will talk to absolutely everyone. Like anyone come up to me and talk to me, like if you're a basketball fan, Big East fan, like um, it's just been awesome. It's just been a lot of fun since it came out.
Mhm. I agree. It's cool meeting people that you're basically interacting with anonymously on a weekly basis. Um,
Yeah,
that's always like one of those weird moments, like Mohegan. I met like a handful of guys, and I was like, "Oh shit, you're that guy." I don't know. It's just always cool. And like you said, they're all cool dudes, and we all have a common interest. It's the Providence Friars. We're all psychopaths, probably booze bags. Um, just common interest, and you can't draw it up better. Um, I agree with the sentiment you had earlier, talking about how like I might be paraphrasing, I might be botching it, but like really don't want anyone to feel like they have to forgive Ed Cooley or like this is something that's just gonna boil over. Like this happened less than 2 years ago. And this is probably one of the biggest betrayals in, and I don't think this is much of an exaggeration, but like one of the bigger betrayals in the history of sports.
oh,
I don't
absolutely,
know if
100%.
like I wouldn't necessarily say it's like Mount Rushmore per se. Um, but I mean, you lay out the top 20 betrayals in the history of sports, like Ed Cooley deserves a seat at the table. Um, and this is if you're truly like a diehard fan, like, and you understand how everything played out in real time, and you like live this shit, it's there's no reason to forgive him. He hasn't given you a reason to forgive him. Not an apology, not an I was wrong, not a um nothing. Um, but we
Mhm.
talked about tradition earlier, and I like genuinely believe like Saturday is going to be almost exactly a year to the day of last year's Ed Cooley homecoming. I genuinely hope that the Big East schedules this game for as long as Ed Cooley's coaching on the last Saturday of January. Like, I know college football has these rivalries where it's like, I know Alabama and Tennessee play the third Saturday in October. The last Saturday in January should be designated
Yep.
for Ed Cooley's return to Providence every single year. And like, if you want tradition, I know DJ Finesse talked about tradition the other day. He had a great video on that. But like, if you want tradition, the last Saturday in January is this game. Like, it should be this game.
Yeah. No, I
As just
agree
like
with you.
a
I
yearly
agree with that.
occurrence.
I'd love that moving forward. It's perfect. Like breaks up the Big East schedule. It's like you have this to look forward to, and then you get over this game, and it's like, okay, now you're looking toward like the Big East tournament. So it's like right kind of smack dab in the middle of the Big East schedule. So I totally agree. And as for like the time on forgiving Cooley, there's never going to be a time where personally I will forgive him. I think a lot of people feel the same way. And I remember back in March of 2023 and April of 2023 when I would go on Twitter and like say all that mean shit about him. And I remember like sometimes thinking twice and being like, like, is this necessary? Like, does he deserve it? It is like, I'm about to call this guy Hitler for like the 18th time in like 2 weeks. Like, is this over the top? And then I just fucking remember like being like 13, 14, and 15, and like being so obsessed with this team and like thinking like, man, like, dude, like playing in the NCAA tournament sounds like a dream. Like, sounds like something I'll like never get to see. Like watching the Providence College Friars in the NCAA tournament just sounds like something like maybe I'll never get to witness. Like, you just never know. And then Ed Cooley came and we got that. And then he quit on his team before an NCAA tournament game. I used to like pray to watch the Friars in the NCAA tournament. And then he like basically punts an NCAA tournament game. Like, that is a cardinal sin. Like, if you want to leave, leave. But don't mess with the NCAA tournament. Like, you don't know how many times you're going to get back there, or ever if you're going to get back there. Like, programs just die out all the time, and you literally like just quit on your team before the tournament. Like that. That's why he deserves all the hate that he gets, because it's not an easy thing to make the tournament, and it should be like such a positive thing for the fans. That all everyone's talking about is the coach maybe leaving, and it's like it's just that's why when when you think twice about it, it's like, no, he deserves it. Fuck him.
I love it, dude. I think even like, and I mean, almost the entirety of my Friars fandom was the Cooley era. Very little of it was before. I was still young, but like watching the progression of the program over the course of the 2010s, and then you get to this 21-22 season, and it's this magical run. We've talked about it before. Like, you look back on it, that was like the season. As far as like anyone in our age range is concerned, that was the best season of Friars basketball any of us have ever witnessed. And then with how well the team, started off in 22-23, you have this sophomore coming in out of fucking nowhere. Bryce Hopkins and Devin Carter lighting it up. You have Noah Locke, who could literally step 1 foot over the half court line, and I feel okay with him pulling the trigger. Like, Ed Croswell's coming along. This team looks legit. And this, I think, like I said, I think they peaked at 15th in the country at one point, and you start to think, okay, this is a really good way to build off of your Sweet 16 appearance last year. Is this becoming the standard now for PC, or where you're a perennial top 20 team? Are you Illinois is a team that comes to mind. It's like always in the mix, never like top 5 in the country, but like always in that top 20 mix. Like, is this the new standard of PC basketball that we're getting used to? And then you think back to the days where, like 2014, when you win that first Big East tournament, it's like, holy shit, I didn't even know our small state could even garner this much attention and like be playing on national TV and like performing at the highest of heights. And you just appreciate that, like, right now you're living in this moment where your favorite team growing up, your local pro team per se, is becoming this nationally respected brand, and you have the hardest place to play in the country, and you're a perennial top 20 team. And like, as a fan base wouldn't settle for anything less than the second weekend. You're starting to see like a turning of the tide, and then late February, early March roll around, and the rug is just ripped out from under you, and you find out all these lies and deceits going on behind the scenes. And it's just it's gut wrenching. Like you got so close to this like mountaintop that like for your entire life as a fan have like wanted to get to, and just like keep that standard, and then it just gets pulled out from under you. I think I just ranted for way too long right there, but just a kick in the balls, dude. And it's so hard to do it justice with words. Like it's one of those things you literally have to live through. Like I said, words just can't do it justice a lot of the time.
No, I mean, that's what this is all about, right? I totally agree, and you're absolutely right. Like what Fanta said in the documentary. If you haven't seen it in a while, like I said, watch it again. Jay Wright had just retired. UConn was kind of like not really doing anything. I know it's so easy to look at UConn as now like a national power, but 21, 22, like they lost to New Mexico in 2022 in the NCAA tournament in the first round, right? We played in the same arena. We went to the Sweet 16. They lost in the first round. You have Creighton, who's a good team, but there was a case to be made that PC was next in line, to kind of be that like perennial top 2 team in the Big East, right? And it looked like that was the case. You had a guy who said he wanted to be here for the long haul. He was from here, and it was all kind of falling into place. And then it just all gets taken from you, at the drop of a hat. Do I think PC is a dead program? Absolutely not. Of course not. I think there's, they're in a good position, and I think that this is a bit of a rough patch this year. A lot of that is because, Bryce is hurt. But, yeah, I mean, all that stuff is completely valid. And, I don't know where we would be right now if Cooley was still here. But I can tell you one thing. It would look a lot different, and Georgetown would more than likely still be dead. So, but this isn't the first time Ed Cooley did this. There's an interesting piece about him when he left Fairfield to come to Providence. He convinced someone he coached at Boston College. I forgot who it was who he coached at BC. Let me just real quick look up the Fairfield Stags 2010 roster. Rakeem Sanders.
Okay.
Rakeem Sanders. Yes. So Rakeem was from Pawtucket, Rhode Island, and he originally played at Boston College. Ed Cooley recruited him to play at Boston College. He was very good at BC, played 3 years at Boston College, transferred to Fairfield to go play for Ed Cooley, and before his senior year, Ed Cooley left for Providence. Now, a lot of people saw this as kind of like a little bit of, disrespectful move, right? This guy was Fairfield's best player that they've had maybe in the history of the program. But you recruit a guy to come down to Fairfield, right? I mean, Rakeem was doing well at Boston College. And then, Ed kind of leaves. I thought that he had one more year in him at Fairfield before he was ready to make that jump, but he made it a year earlier because PC offered him all the money. But that's kind of a scummy move. I don't know. I don't know if you can call it a scummy move, but this is kind of the guy he is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. Also, shout out Rakeem Sanders. one of the best players in St. Andrews history. I went to the basketball camp over there growing up, so I always like
Yeah.
old 11-year-old Mac always saw his banner hanging up on the wall in the St. Andrews gym. I was not aware of that though. But yeah, listen,
Yep.
some people never change. Some people are just stuck in their ways, and their word means nothing. And I think that's kind of the overlaying theme of this whole story.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. So let me see here. Yeah, that's so crazy because that was when you had to sit out a year for the
Yep.
transfer. So he's transferred to Fairfield, sat out, and then Ed Cooley left. And he never played for Ed Cooley at Fairfield.
What a jerk off.
Never
Just a
played a
jerk
game
off.
at Fairfield. Yeah, tough. But he had a good senior year at Fairfield. So, nonetheless, what else we got? Eduardo, how you doing, man?
Hanging in there. I think you guys did great. Love it. But
We did
I
pretty well.
want to add one thing. Do you guys remember the Clark Kellogg little mini documentary he did before the tournament?
With Cooley?
Where he said he listened to One Shining Moment all the time. Is that the one?
Mhm.
Yes. He said some interesting things in that documentary that I think a lot of people got upset with. He was talking about how Providence is his home. He never wants to leave. All just straight up lies. So I think a lot of people got really upset with that.
Interesting.
Yeah, there was also another one that Cox Sports, called Cooley. That was back in like 2012, something like that, 2011, when Cooley like first got the job. And yeah, same kind of thing. It just showed like his upbringing. It showed like how much he wanted to be here and how this was his dream job, and like just really kind of crazy. I mean, and then leave for Georgetown.
If I'm not mistaken, Eduardo, that little piece with Clark Kellogg, that was done in the 2022 season, no?
I think it was before the Kentucky game.
Oh, really? Oh shit. I didn't know it was that recent. I just figured because that 2022 year, a lot of national attention around the team, but if it was that year, that's insane. Got a cross reference on that one.
I could be wrong, but it's just him saying that it's dream job, just adding on to what you guys have been saying for the past 30 minutes.
Yeah, that there's just the guy's words mean nothing. Like I honestly don't remember off the top of my head what year that was, but that is just if that was the 2023 season, like, dude, you're a crock of shit. Your word means nothing. And also, I was gonna say I wish nothing but the worst for him, and I do. I think a common misconception that gets lost sometimes is, I don't know if I speak for the entire fan base, but like, I probably don't. But I don't have a gripe with like the Georgetown program or their fan base, but it's just Cooley. Like I only want to see Cooley fail. It just so happens that he's wearing a Georgetown G on his chest. I don't know if you guys share the same sentiment.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll always hate Georgetown now, to be honest, because of this whole thing. But like, yeah, you're not wrong. That's I think that's totally fair. I find it weird how like I haven't seen one Georgetown fan like be like, oh yeah, this guy is kind of a scumbag. Like it's kind of almost like I think maybe it's just kind of going against the grain because like everyone is, so like anti Ed Cooley. But I'm almost a little surprised where like, because there's some PC fans that are like, completely rational that are on the other side, and maybe they're, or I don't want to say rational because to make it look like we're the irrational ones because we're not, but maybe they're just like not as cranked up about it, who don't really have any animosity toward Cooley. But I'm surprised there's not any Georgetown fans, that feel like, all right, this guy's a scumbag. Like, do we want this guy? Like, I haven't seen one instance where that's the case.
there's got to be someone out there that's just scared to say it. Like if I don't know. We do have a couple questions that some people sent to us. Figure it'd be worth addressing ahead of Saturday's game. Eduardo, I don't know if you want to take it away.
Eddie ball game.
Sorry, I was looking. It was 2023.
Jesus Christ.
It was before the tournament.
Wait, so it was before the
before the Kentucky game. Yeah, it dropped.
Holy shit. Oh.
So I'm sure they filmed it like before the season or like mid-season and they produced it and got clearance on it and everything. But even if that was before the season, so you're talking October to he signed the papers in March, like you don't make a life-altering move like that just because you had a change of heart and you wanted change. Yeah, I just don't understand how you can justify that.
All right, on to questions. This one's from Friar Fanta. You know the audit adulter has this game circled. Got to think Kim knows there will be extra juice in the building. Full week off. We better have a game plan. We will be ready for the mixing defenses and pressure. Oswin staying out of foul trouble is going to be the game, in my opinion.
Yeah. So here's the thing. This game, like, say what you want, right? Ed can say all he wants that this is just another basketball game. Kim can say all he wants that this is just another basketball game. But this is not just another basketball game. Like, you want to talk about from Kim's perspective, bottom line is Kim, like, hasn't felt the full wrath of PC fans yet. A lot of that is because Bryce is out. So if you're 9-10, right, Bryce Hopkins being out, I think a lot of PC fans have given Kim a little bit of leeway. I think the criticism is loud, right now, but it's not nearly as loud it's not nearly as loud as it's going to be if PC loses on Saturday. So if Kim needs to win one game, right, this is just a fact. It's this one. This is the most important for him. Like, is it the most important game of the season for, like, basketball purposes? No, it's not. But people are going to be really, really upset at Kim English if he does not win this game, period.
I think the difference between the two coaches in this game, and it'll be like this for as long as both of them are at their respective programs, I think Kim totally understands the significance of this game. I think there's a little less pressure on him because he doesn't have a dog in the fight. Like, he's not doing it. Ed Cooley's doing it out of ego. Like, Ed Cooley knows this game means something because he wants to shut us up, essentially. And, like, I feel like that's just not a secret. Like, any rational person, if someone's calling for your head for 2 years, like, obviously you want to beat him and shut him up. That's just natural competitive spirit. Kim, on the other hand, isn't coaching out of ego, but I know he understands the weight of this game. And I think is more so like he wants to win for his guys, his fan base. Ed is strictly, this is obviously you want to win the games regardless of the circumstances, but yeah, I feel like there's a little less pressure on Kim because all the hate and the warfare between these fan bases really has nothing to do with him.
Yeah, I mean, this is like you're right. I do agree. Like, the fact that, like, this is like Kim is not really in this fight. Like, he's just a coach. Like, he's kind of just almost like an innocent bystander. But at the end of the day, like, if things aren't going well, right? Say you're in a relationship, right? Things aren't going well with your current girlfriend, and all of a sudden her ex starts cropping up, right? Like, maybe you see him out, like, you got to look better than that guy, right? Especially if things aren't going great. or else she's going to start to think like, oh, maybe I kind of miss that other guy. And that's PC fans right now. Like, we're 9-10. Bottom line is, if we're 9-11 after Saturday, and that 11th loss is to Ed Cooley, like Kim's gonna feel it. Like, it's gonna be very loud. So
Yeah.
Important that he wins for him, for his sake.
I agree. I think also, Friar Fanta also mentioned Oswin staying out of foul trouble is going to be big. Sorber's the guy. Like, Sorber's a dog. Respectfully, like, I don't mean to glaze any Georgetown guys, but Sorber's a dog, and Oswin needs to stay out of foul trouble because I've been pretty critical of Anton Bonk, and obviously Krista Sandico, rightfully so. The criticism behind those two, but if Oswin's out and Thomas Sorber is there and has Anton Bonk or Krista Sandico on an island, we're fucked. Like, I'm just going to call a spade a spade. We're fucked.
Yeah.
And that is not a good recipe for success. Like, very little depth at the big spot right now.
Yep. Agreed. Eddie Money next.
Oh, this one's from our good friend Pierre. Legit question. Pierre and Corey are the only Cooley guys playing in this game. How much will every other player care about this rivalry?
Mac, you want to start?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like what I said with Kim, where I think everyone in the locker room understands the weight around the game. And obviously the advantage is when you're the home team. Like, I think the crowd plays a big factor in like getting these guys up for the game. Whether Cooley coach you or not, if you're playing in front of the Amp's going to be the loudest arena in the country on Saturday. Let's not get anything mistaken.
Yeah.
That's very easy to get fired up for. And I think even coming into the game, like all week, these guys understand, like, this is a big game. Like, this game means something. Someone commented under Baguette's tweet, and I want to give him a shout out because I think it's very similar. Obviously different levels, but William McFarland said, this is Ohio State versus Michigan. Don't care about the rest of the season nearly as much if you just win this game. And I think, obviously, we're having our worst season in recent history. Georgetown's having their best season in recent history. Regardless, we are still neck and neck in the standings. Neither of these teams are competing for a national championship this year. I think we can all agree on that. This game means something. Whether it's a top 25 matchup or two teams fighting for their first win in the conference, this game will always mean something to the fan base, and to both teams. I think, like I said, as long as Cooley's there.
Yeah. So I think Pierre's question is a good question, and I think that the answer is not like very black and white. So you asked me like how much Wesley Cardette, Bensley Joseph, I mean, how much those guys maybe care about this game. I think they look at it like any other game. I think like you asked, Jaden Pierre, obviously Corey Floyd, they're gonna see it differently. But then everyone else, like, I mean, Mila and Oswin, like they're trying to make the fans happy. Like, they're gonna be here for a long time. They want to make the fans happy. Like, that's just human nature. Or like you're playing in front of a crowd. You got 3 years left after this year to play in front of these people. Like, you want to make them happy, so you might get up for the game. I don't think you're going to play with the same level of hatred. Like, when Devin Carter windmill dunked it last year, like there was some emotion there. There was like some like, hey, like, this is what you left. And I mean, that was no doubt. Like, there was something there, right? I don't think you'll see that this game, but I think the players will still get up and still care about it for sure.
I totally agree.
Also on the other side too, just Drew Fielder and Kayvon Mulready both committed here. I think a little bit chip on their shoulder as well.
I think even the other way, I think those two, for whatever minutes they see, I think they'll hear it from our fans as well. I don't know. That's the beautiful thing about a rivalry. It goes both ways.
Yeah.
This next one's from you buggin'. Georgetown fans have been boasting all year about being the youngest team in the country, quote unquote, which is fine, but that means approximately 0 of their players have ever played anywhere as hostile as the Dunk. Need to have a vintage crowd and use it to our advantage.
I mean, yeah, it'll be a good crowd. That's about it. I mean, there's no doubt it'll be a great crowd, much like it was last year. Some of these Georgetown players did play in this game last year. Epps, obviously, first one that comes to mind. He's probably their only regular player that did. I'm trying to think. Obviously, PV, new, Mac, new, Sorber, new. Who's their fifth starter? They have. So they start Epps, PV, Mac.
They start Williams.
Who?
Williams,
Caleb,
our good friend Kyle Williams' son.
I'm not sure. Familiar.
Because they have another C. Williams, Curtis, right?
I believe so.
Does he start? Curtis Williams? Yeah, there's Curtis and Caleb. I thought Caleb came off the bench. I'm not even saying that just because I know Kyle's probably listening.
They might switch up. He started before.
Kyle's dialed in at the hour 20 mark.
Yeah. He's definitely ball watching right now, which is fine. We expect everyone to listen. That's great. I mean, I hope you do listen.
600 milligrams of caffeine, just looking for something.
He's dissecting it. Yeah. I really thought Curtis Williams has been getting some pretty good run. See, the problem is you look up fucking Caleb Williams, and it's that twink that plays for the Bears.
Anyway, while you're looking for that, I mean, to answer you Buggin's question, or I guess not really a question, just to go off his statement. I agree. I think these guys haven't fit. This is when the crowd is an advantage. Like games like this, you want to take advantage of it. This game is important. Like people are going to get up for this game. The building's going to be rocking. Guys like Micah Peavy. Is it? No, I'm sorry, not Micah Peavy. Malik Mack, who was playing at Harvard last year. I've seen Rhode Island high school gyms get more packed than a Harvard basketball game. The Amica Mutual Pavilion might put him in a coma. Like he might be that scared.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's definitely going to be a pretty crazy atmosphere. And they haven't played when they go on the road, it's not like there's a hostile atmosphere for Georgetown. If they did play at Syracuse, sorry, Eddie, they did win at Syracuse. So that was probably the most hostile because that's a little bit of a rivalry. But I don't know. I mean, how was the crowd for the Syracuse game, Eddie? You were there, right?
I was there, unfortunately. But it was obviously Syracuse always has big crowds, but it was one of the lowest attended Syracuse game at home against Georgetown in a long time. So
I thought Syracuse Georgetown sells tickets. I thought Georgetown puts buns in seats.
Yeah, brand. All right. What do we got next?
This is from Mindset Maddie. What's up, boys? Can we please address how Hoya fans do a lot of their shit talking in the Discord, while a large portion of them have most PC burners blocked on Twitter? I think it's bad for the Big East Twitter community. Also, fuck Ed Cooley. Thanks, Maddie.
Well said, Maddie.
This is your boy, right?
What's that?
This is your boy, right?
Yeah, this is my guy right here. We'll get him in the door at Murphy's on Saturday.
All right. Why don't you start off? You go.
I'm actually not too familiar with Discord. Are you guys active? Well, actually, Leb's. Eduardo,
I was on the Discord for a while, And then I never used it, so I was like, I'm just wasting fucking $7 a month. Like, there's no point. So yeah, I don't really partake, but I mean, yeah, the Georgetown fan base is obviously pretty active on Discord. In fact, like actually, there was a couple PC fans talking shit about me on Discord, and one Georgetown fan, I think, one that we're familiar with on Twitter, defended me, and like it was like no PC fans were defending me, and whatever. So there are some Georgetown fans. Like there are some cool Georgetown fans. I've actually interacted with a lot of cool ones on Twitter. I think some of them are a little bit soft, so they're blocking, like whatever. Here's the thing. Like, again, going back to what you said before, Mac, like you don't hate Georgetown. You just hate Ed Cooley. Georgetown fans, like, we have such a dominant presence on Twitter that they must just see a lot of PC shit and a lot of negative Ed Cooley shit. And it probably just gets like annoying, honestly. Like I'm like, I'd love to stir the pot and I'd love to like talk shit about them, and there's plenty of people on Georgetown Twitter that I can talk shit about. But like, dude, they probably see a lot of like, Ed Cooley hate. It's probably like, all right, like, enough is enough. Like, I don't want to see this anymore. They like the team. Like, they probably just block people out of like, just to avoid the harassment. I mean, to be fair, I think that's probably the reason.
That's Charmin Ultra Soft. But yeah, I have noticed, like I said, not very familiar with the Discord, but I have noticed Georgetown fans are very trigger happy with the block button. I know Hoy Apologist, I don't even care about name dropping. I know Hoy Apologist like went through and blocked literally the entire PC fan base. And then now that Georgetown beat up on the School of the Deaf, Juanita Sanchez, and Airbud and crew in non-conference, like they're doing a victory lap and just everyone's unblocked and just talking shit all of a sudden. And I don't know. It's very weird how selective they are with that. But very, very trigger happy with the block button, I've noticed. There's a handful of Georgetown fans I haven't even interacted with. I think if you just tweet something about Providence or Ed Cooley, you get the block ASAP, whether you've interacted with them or not.
Yeah, sometimes there's some funny Georgetown. There's some decent Georgetown accounts. Like Hoya Paranoia is okay. I don't hate him. I think Doug Johnson is pretty funny. I don't know if you guys know who Doug Johnson is. He's pretty funny. There's like this like small burner community of like, looks like they're maybe in college at Georgetown. So they're pretty funny. Like they have like a little group there. Last year though, like it was all just like people with sticks up their ass, so it was kind of like annoying. Now they're like a little more like jokey, a little more embracing like Big East Twitter culture, so that's good.
They understand the shtick.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
This one's from Coach Steve. I honestly think the Friars roll Saturday, get a healthy Mila in the starting lineup, and it corrects the ship.
I'm not commenting on the outcome of the game. Leb, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, you know what? I don't want to really go there either necessarily because, it's just a big game. So, although I will say, like, I really do believe that the Friars have turned a corner, believe it or not, like with their offense since after the since the UConn game. The UConn game after that was when things changed. Now they had the Creighton game, but I really think the Creighton game was like a one-off game. But since the UConn game, they played UConn on the road very well. And they had that, Wesley Cardet, Ryan Mila, dribble drive offense. Same thing with the 2 wins against Seton Hall and Butler. Then you go to Creighton, and they got their doors blown off. I think Creighton's just a terrible, terrible matchup, whatever, Kalkbrenner. And then you go to Villanova, and then same thing. Offense looked okay, a little more 3-point heavy with Villanova. But, here's the thing. You didn't have Mila. You didn't have Garnett. If you did, then you win that game 100%. So I think they've turned a little bit of a corner, but the Creighton thing was a little bit of a one-off. I think with Mila and Garnett, I think that Coach Steve is probably right. You probably do. I think that you there's a good chance you do win the game.
Yeah, the offense is definitely coming along. I know we didn't talk too much on, or really at all, on the Villanova game, but first 25, 30 minutes of that game, they were in control, and like that's a solid Villanova team. You're going on the road and giving them the business. Obviously, they collapsed at the end, but like threes were falling on the road in particular. Like you obviously didn't see that in the Creighton game. I do think this team's starting to turn a corner, and like we've talked about before, they're just finding their identity. They're figuring out who they are without Bryce.
Faux show.
This one's from Bonk Mania. Tough season with a lot of different options on what's right and what's wrong. I just ask that we all come together Saturday and deliver a classic dunk Saturday. As we all know, there's nothing better, and this fan base desperately needs it.
Well said. Well said, Patriot.
Very well said. I think we're in store for a classic dunk Saturday. Like maybe not the national like media attention around last year, but like similar vibe as far as everyone within a mile of that stadium is there because they fucking hate Ed Cooley. And they're going to be boozed up, ready to screen their balls off. If they don't have balls, ready to scream their face off. I think we're all just coming together as a fan base for a common cause driven by hate, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, agreed. I also will just have kind of like a little bit of a prediction / take. If the Friars win on Saturday versus Georgetown, I don't think they'll lose another home game the rest of the year. And here's why. There are going to be kids that go to this game that normally wouldn't go to a game. They're going to have a good experience. If they win, the crowd's going to be insane. The building's going to be absolutely just jumping. Tickets on StubHub are, $80 right now. So it's going to be there's not even one open seat available. They're going to come back. And the crowd, I think, will be resurrected. And then I think they're going to go on a little bit of a run at home. And I think they even beat, UConn at home. So I think this could spur a nice home win streak that we desperately need because this team is rock solid at home, right? We've already won 2 in a row at home with Butler and Seton Hall. 3 in a row on Saturday. Then you keep it rolling into February and into March.
Yeah, I love that. I think this, even win or lose, really, on Saturday. Obviously, we all want the Friars to win, but win or lose, I think this is going to be a kind of a nice little reminder for the people who don't necessarily go to every game, but like, hey, this building is absolutely nuts at its best. Like, very few arenas in the country can compare to this building at their best. And obviously, like, we haven't had a good reminder of that in a while now. Whether that's encore performance or just like general fan attendance, whatever it may be. I think Saturday is going to be a great reminder to the fan base as a whole. Like, hey, this place is fucking awesome. Like, this is the Mecca.
I might go sit in the student section, honestly. Not like
it'll probably be more fun.
What?
It'll probably be more fun.
Yeah, no, 100%. Hey, fucking 30-year-old dude in the student section. You think I give a shit? Say what you want.
Who cares?
I don't give a fuck. Listen, I got a fucking internal organ that doesn't work. Last thing I care about is some twinks, and I'm too old for the student section. If I want to sit behind the bench and yell at Ed Cooley, I'm going to do that. I might go down there for the second half. We'll see.
Oh, yeah. I forgot Ed Cooley would be right down there. Yeah,
oh,
dude,
yeah, you
only live once, Leb. Fucking do it.
Yeah,
Send
who
it.
cares? Yeah, I don't give a fuck.
All right, so that's all we have for questions. We We did receive a voice memo from friend of the program, Tommy Gufano. Just looking ahead to Saturday's game. So here is the man himself.
Hey, what's going on again? It's me, Tommy Gufano, reporting live from Murphy's, where I've been drinking for 3 days straight, celebrating National Fuck Ed Cooley Week. I can't wait for Saturday to boo his ass into oblivion. Ed, I know you're too scared to show your face locally in Providence. You're the only motherfucker I know that walks around with security in his hometown. But I want to offer you an open challenge. Foxy Lady parking lot. I know you're very familiar with the location. We can settle this like men. Throw down. But the stipulations are the loser of the fight has to stop drinking and has to stop cheating on his wife. So the stakes will be high. I have been booing into my wife's pregnant belly so my young infant child can also learn to boo Ed Cooley. I'm looking forward to it. Fuck you, Ed. See you Saturday. Thank you.
Well said. Well said, Tommy.
I would pay
That
a
is-
lot of money to see that fight.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
He's going to be a great father. He's raising his kid right.
Yeah. Wow. That is I so Tommy sends those in and I refuse to listen to them until like we're live because I want to be surprised.
Mhm.
And they never disappoint.
We made it an hour and a half into this episode without bringing up Cooley cheating on his wife, by the way. I want that on the record that we danced around the topic, but we didn't get to it.
The Omni is a very nice hotel.
It is a very nice hotel.
It is.
Especially if you need somewhere to stay for the night. Like, crash there, have a friend over, maybe a couple friends over,
Play drinking game.
play drinking games. Let's go.
The road is gonna be rosier.
Yep, roses are red, violets are blue.
Speaking
Dude,
of, you guys want to do that draft now?
Yeah, fuck it.
let's do it.
Max got Noah Locke all three positions.
Yes, Noah Locke's my guy. It's gonna be Noah Locke, Al Durham, Bryce Cotton. I'm just gonna draft guards.
All right, so how do you want to do this? Who goes first?
Also, first off, this draft's going to be Cooley's tenure in Providence, the best players he's had.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, there you go.
You wanna
So Eduardo said it.
You want to do 3 guard, wing, center, or just a starting 5?
Starting five.
Yeah, guard. Okay, starting 5 is fine. Yeah, that's fine.
We can do a quick little rapid fire.
All right, sounds good. Just keep track of your team in the notes app or on a piece of paper. Yeah.
Perfect. We'll throw it in a graphic.
All right. Why don't we go Eduardo, Mac, me.
Perfect.
I'm starting off. I'm taking a guard. I'm taking Bryce Cotton. One of my favorite Friar of all time.
Great pick.
To go, I'm also going to go guard. I think it goes without saying, 2-time Big East Player of the Year, top 5 NBA pick. Got to go Chris Dunn.
Okay. Good pick. Good pick. Yeah, I mean, I think I got a complete 3-headed monster here. I think he counts. I think it's got to be Devin Carter.
Yeah, that's a good one. You want to do Snake Leb? You get the 4th pick?
Do Snake.
If you want to do Snake, yeah, that works. All right, sounds good. All right, so Dunn's off the board, Cotton's off the board, Carter's off the board. So I will go with. I'll go with LaDante Henton.
That's a good one. That was going to be my pick right there. I think there's. You know what? I'm leaning big man right now, and I think it's only right if you have the dynamic duo. I'll take Ben Bentel.
Yeah, good pick.
Brutal. That was my pick.
Maybe we shouldn't have done Snake.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go Sweet 16 team. I'm gonna take Justin Minaya and Al Durham. Get some chemistry in.
I was going Durham at point guard, so
that was solid.
Shit.
What does Mac want to do here?
So are you up or am I up?
I'm up. I think.
Oh, you're up. Yeah.
We got to get some size. I think there's more depth at the guard position throughout Cooley's tenure. Leb, you went Devin Carter. I'm going to go Bryce Hopkins. He's going to run the 4.
Okay. I'm up.
Yes, sir.
All right. David Duke, point guard.
Call.
I get 2 picks.
Yep.
All right. Give me. Man. Yeah, I think I got to do it here. Yeah, give me Noah Horkler.
Okay.
I'm putting him at forward.
I think. I also had to do some research because I don't know if they overlapped, but Marshawn Brooks never played for Ed Cooley, which was kind of sad for me to realize.
Yeah.
Fuck it. We're just gonna have a tough team. I'm gonna go Alpha Diallo.
Good pick.
Took my pick again. I hate you.
Sorry. If it makes you feel any better, you took Justin Minaya from me, and that one hurt my heart.
All right, I need size, so I'm gonna go with Nate Watson.
Good pick. And then I think you have back-to-back, Eduardo.
Let's see. I'll take AJ Reeves. Get some shooting in there.
Solid.
Okay.
All right.
So,
Leb, you called my shot for me. I don't have enough shooting on my team. I need a Chris Kyle level sniper. Give me Noah Locke in the green lows, the GOAT, my GOAT, the best shooter in Friar history.
Okay. So that leaves me with the last pick, right? Everyone has 5?
I have 5.
All right. I need a center, so I will go with Kareem Batts.
Oh,
great
steal right there. All right, so what do we have for the team? Eduardo, what's your lineup looking like?
So I'm gonna have Al Durham at the 1. I'm gonna keep Bryce Cotton off ball. The Australian MJ, by the way.
Of course.
AJ Reeves at the 3, Justin Minaya at the 4, and Nate Watson at the 5.
All right. So I got Chris Dunn at the 1, Noah Locke at the 2, Alpha Diallo at the 3, which might be, I don't know how I feel about that too much, but I got Bryce Hopkins at the 4 and Ben Bentel at the 5. Led, what about you?
Yeah, that's good. That's a good team. I like that one. I got David Duke, point guard. Devin Carter, shooting guard. LaDante Henton will put him at the 3. Noah Horkler at the 4 and Kadeem Batts at the 5.
Love it. All right, so I think we can all agree we have good teams. So let's say something good about Cooley here. It wasn't all bad, I guess.
Yeah.
We had some good time. Listen, it took us an hour 40 to say something good, but a lot of good memories surrounding these players, which I think is at least worth a conversation, you know?
Most definitely. Yeah. Hey, Ed Cooley was a good coach for Providence College. Not one person can say anything else besides that. Like, that is a fact. And if he was a bad coach, guess what? Not one person would give a fuck if he left. So take it as a compliment, whatever you need. Do I think he, is good enough to resurrect Georgetown? We'll see. That is not a guarantee, and the jury's still out. So we'll see.
Yeah, I guess resurrect Georgetown is pretty subjective. It's really just what you think bringing Georgetown all the way back really is. He's not going to win a national championship. I will tell you that. Put it in stone. He will not win a national championship with Georgetown. He might make a tournament run, but it really all just depends on your definition of Georgetown being back. He sure as hell going to leave it in a better spot, but I think we should definitely end on reminding everyone that it did not end well, and he needs to hear about it. And he is not a good person for the things that he has done to our fan base. And I don't think we should ever forget that. And I think this is a good reminder of, hey, fuck this guy. Like, just very bluntly, fuck this guy.
Yep. Fuck Ed Cooley and Murphy's.
Fuck Ed
Murphy's.
Yep.
Get to
well
Murphy.
said.
6 a.m. Amtrak.
Hell yeah.
9
Let's
a.m.
get
Murphys.
it. Let's get it. All right. Yeah, we good?
Sir, yes, sir. I'll see you guys Saturday.
See you guys.
We'll see you on the beach.
Sir, yes, sir. Go Friars, baby.
All right. Peace. Go Friars.